Meet Dorothy, a retired woman who spent her life working hard, only to face a fight for the pension she deserves. Have you ever felt like someone in power just didn't care about your struggles? Well, that's where our story begins. It's a tale of courage, family, and standing up for what's right set against a real problem many face today in America. Before we get started, we'd love to know where you're watching from. Please drop it in the comments so we can bring you more stories that hit close to home. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it means you won't miss our upcoming stories. Ready? Let's dive in. It was a cold, gray afternoon in upstate New York, the kind of day where the wind cuts right through your coat. Dorothy Miller, a 68-year-old widow, sat in a crowded town hall. She wore a faded blue sweater, her gray hair pulled back in a neat bun. Her hands trembled slightly, not from the cold, but from nerves. She'd worked 40 years as a school cafeteria cook, raising 2 kids on her own after her husband passed. Now retired, she relied on her Social Security checks to pay her bills, rent, medicine, food. It wasn't much, but it kept her going. Today, though, Dorothy was scared. Rumors had been flying around her small town of Elmwood politicians in Washington. We're talking about cutting Social Security again. And the person leading that charge, Elise Stefanik, the local congresswoman. Dorothy had come to this town hall to hear it straight from her. The room buzzed with people, old folks like Dorothy, some younger workers, even a few reporters. Elise Stefanik walked in, all confidence, her sharp suit and bright smile lighting up the stage. She was young, powerful, and known for tough talk. She grabbed the microphone and started her speech. "We need to balance the budget," she said, her voice firm. "Social Security can't keep going like this. We've got to make hard choices." Dorothy listened, her stomach twisting. Hard choices. She'd made plenty of those, skipping meals so her kids could eat, working double shifts with sore feet. She raised her hand, shaky but determined, and waited for her turn. When the mic finally came to her, Dorothy stood up. The voice was soft but clear. "Miss Stefanik, I worked 40 years for my pension. I'm not asking for a handout, just what I earned. If you cut Social Security, how am I supposed to live?" The room went quiet. Everyone looked at Elise. She smiled, but it wasn't warm. It was the kind of smile that said she'd already made up her mind. "Dorothy, right?" Elise said, leaning forward. "Look, I get it. You worked hard, but your time's kinda up. We can't keep paying for the past when we've got a future to build." The words hit Dorothy like a slap. Your time's up. She felt her face get hot, her eyes sting. The crowd murmured. Some nodded with Elise, others shook their heads. Dorothy sat down, clutching her purse, too stunned to reply. She wasn't just a number on a budget sheet. She was a person. Outside, as people filed out, Dorothy's grandson, Jake, was waiting. Jake was 22, a skinny kid with messy brown hair and a job at the local paper. He'd been filming the town hall on his phone for a story. When Dorothy told him what happened, his jaw tightened. "She said that to you?" Jake asked, his voice rising. "Grandma, that's not right. We're not letting this go." Dorothy sighed. "What can we do, Jake? She's got all the power." But Jake wasn't giving up. That night, he uploaded the clip of Elise's words to social media. He added his own voiceover. "This is my grandma. Shh. She worked her whole life. Now they want to take her pension away. Is this fair?" He tagged Elise Stefanik and hit post. By morning, the video was everywhere. Retweets, shares, comments. It spread like wildfire. People were mad. "My mom's in the same boat," one wrote. "How dare she say that?" said another. Local TV picked it up, then national news. Soon, hashtag #SaveDorothys pension was trending. Elise Stefanik's office got flooded with calls. Her team scrambled. She hadn't expected this, a retired grandma and her grandson turning into a PR nightmare. Meanwhile, Jake didn't stop. He organized a protest outside her office in Elmwood, 50 people, mostly seniors, holding signs that read, "We earned it and don't cut our future." Dorothy didn't want to go at first. "I'm no troublemaker," she told Jake, but he hugged her and said, "Grandma, you're not trouble. You're the reason we're fighting." So she went. She stood there, shivering in the cold, holding a sign with her name on it. Reporters snapped photos. The crowd chanted. And then, something unexpected happened. A black SUV pulled up. Out stepped Elise Stefanik herself, her face tight. The cameras turned to her. She walked straight to Dorothy, mic in hand, and said, "I'm here to talk." The crowd hushed. Dorothy straightened up, her heart pounding. Elise spoke into the mic, her voice softer this time. "Dorothy, I didn't mean to hurt you." "I'm sorry for what I said. We're reviewing the cuts. Promise we'll look at every option." "Was it real?" Dorothy wasn't sure. Politicians say a lot of things on TV, but the crowd cheered, and Jake squeezed her hand. Later, news broke that Elise had agreed to a live town hall, debating national TV where she'd have to answer to people like Dorothy directly. The cuts weren't gone yet, but they weren't a done deal either. For now, Dorothy's pension was safe, back home. Dorothy sat with Jake on her old couch. She smiled, a small, tired smile, and said, "You did this, kid." Jake shook his head. "No, Grandma, you did. I just made sure they heard you." And for the first time in weeks, Dorothy felt hope. It's not just for herself, but for everyone counting on that little check each month. One voice, one fight, it mattered. So that was the story of Dorothy and her grandson Jake, standing up for what's right against all odds. What did you think? Could you feel Dorothy's fear or Jake's determination? Let us know in the comments. If this story hit home for you, please hit that subscribe button. It's free for you, but it helps us a ton to keep bringing you stories like this. Thanks for watching, have a good day, and we'll see you in the next one.